Okay, great. So, welcome to yet another session of Midweek Magic. Like to give an introduction. Rapid Mile has been there for almost 17 plus years now, and we have been the pioneers of starting law of attraction trainings in India almost 15 years back. Since then, we have focused majorly on the topics related to self improvement, and we are a team of six trainers here who take care of the midweek magic session. Midweek magic session happens every Wednesday, and it's a completely free of cost initiative. Main trainer, head trainer is Dr. Anila. Then we are accompanied with Mr. Balram Talreja, who's a very experienced trainer with 30 years of experience. Then we have Mr. Uh, Sanjeev Mishra, who is, we dearly call him Money Magnet, and is also a law of attraction expert. Then we have Niharika Chaturvedi, who is a law of attraction trainer, an author, and also a Jack Canfield certified success principles trainer. Then we have Angir Bhattacharya, who is trainer in digital marketing. And then it's me, who is an expert in law of attraction and is also the director of the company. Okay, I have been with the company right from the starting. Right. So coming to the topic here, uh, today's topic is atomic habits. So uh, it would be a very interactive session. So please keep using your chat box and keep replying. The more you reply, the more you'll learn. So my first question is: has anybody read the book Atomic Habits, or even heard about the name? No? Yes, Ravi, you've read it or you've heard it?
No, I have heard it. I didn't read it yet.
All
Thank
right,
you.
great. Right. So I went through this book almost a month back, and I felt there was some really nice insights in the book, and I thought I'll share them with the group here, and it would benefit all of us. Right. So let's move forward. Okay. A bit about me. I've already told my name is Shaz, and I'm actually a graduate from hotel management, and then I moved to the corporate sector. Have been there in the BPOs and the corporates for almost 12 years, and then moved to uh, Rapid Mile Business Solutions, and also we had been running a parallel company since then, which was Golden Inspirations, and that we merged a few years back, and now the parent company is Rapid Mile, right? Okay, so the first topic, that would be the power of tiny gains. Okay, now to make you understand this particular concept, I would like to discuss a case study, and this case study is of Team Sky, which was a cycling team of Great Britain, and to be frank, the Team Sky was not doing that great. So, like I had mentioned, that they had won only one gold medal in last 100 years, eh, from 1908 to 2008. Imagine there was only one gold medal. So the entire team was quite demotivated, and there's a tournament called the Tour of France, which is the most prestigious tournament, and they never won it. Okay, they did participate but never won it. Okay, so they decided to hire this new coach, Dave Braceford, and they were looking for some turnaround. So they thought they'll ask him, what does he want to do different from the current tour coach. So what he said is he has a new strategy, and he calls this strategy aggregation of marginal gains. Okay, what it means is slight improvement every day, one by one, gradually, and eventually they will be a much better team. And what he thought, or what he told the selectors, is that if everything goes well, everything goes in their control, uh, they would be able to win the Tour of France in next 5 years. Right. So this was what he thought, and then there were some results which were quite shocking. The results were they won Tour of France instead of 5 years, they won it in 3 years. Okay, and then they won it the fourth year as well, and then the third time also in 4 years. So in 4 years they won it three times, which was quite unbelievable, which they had never done it. They did it. And the even shocking thing was in Olympics 2012 they won 70% of the gold medals available, which was where the teams not only from Europe but the teams from all over the world participate, and they bagged 70% of the gold medals. So everybody went back to the coach and asked him what did he do differently, how did they do it, all right? So this is what he had to say. He were focusing on building better systems and obtain better habits and improve 1% every day, all right? Now, as a cycling team, what do you think can improve? What all things can we focus on improve when we talk about coach improving 1%? What things would he be focusing on? You can unmute and answer, or you can write in the chat box.
Maybe making their timing better
All right.
gradually each day,
Mm-hmm.
doing better than what they did before,
Absolutely.
and their overall maybe getting fitter each day, doing a little bit, pushing themselves physically a little bit more each day.
Right. Absolutely, G. So that's what every coach does. Okay, he focuses on the fitness, he focuses on recording the timings and doing it every day. Anila says physical and mental fitness. Absolutely, Anila. And apart from this, they did something else also. They measured each and everything, whatever they could. For example, they compared the weights of the cycle. Okay, they compared the weights of the bike tires. They tried out different bike tires, which were the lightest and most effective. Okay, they also compared, put biofeedback sensors on the body of the cyclists, and then they measured what kind of reactions were there. They introduced indoor racing suits gear to for the outdoor cycling, because indoor racing suits were lighter than the outdoor ones. Okay, they also tried different massage gels, which one would recover them faster. They also instructed them to wash their hands more often so that they don't fall sick, right? And the most interesting thing, they tried and tested different pillows so that they can have the best kind of sleeps. And more interesting is, wherever these cyclists go, they used to carry their own pillows, so they could have their best sleep, and then they can work out and exercise and then win the races. Wasn't it interesting? Okay, so when we talk about 1% improvement every day, you come up with innovative ideas. Today, okay, today what should I improve? What else can be done? Look at each and every aspect of, drill down, narrow down, and then improve each and every part of your business, your focused item, your goal. And these are the kind of results which happen. Okay, but again, when we talk about 1% improvement, 1% improvement doesn't sound like a very good big improvement in a day, or if you measure in a week or a month. But when you measure it in an year's time, it becomes a really big improvement. Let's look at the calculations now. 1% improvement every day for 365 days makes you 37 times better. Isn't it amazing? You become 37 times better. Now, 1%, if you deteriorate, you become almost zero. If you perform 1% less every day, it becomes all your performance becomes almost zero, right? But again, improving 1% on daily basis, is it really if possible? So he came up with solutions. No, it's not possible. You may have some lethargic days, you may would have some off days where you're traveling, where you are want to enjoy your vacation. So this is the calculation at the bottom. Even if you minus almost 133 days, what he did is you take off all the weekends, take out the off sickness leaves, vacation leaves, you're left with, let's say, only 232 days. Still, you if you do that 1% improvement every day, you will be 10 times better than what you are right now. Isn't it amazing? At least this target is achievable, right? Okay, so let's move forward. The next topic, that is the power of identity. Okay, so I've divided the entire session into 5 to 6 different chapters, different topics. So this one is the second one, the power of identity. Now, what again, I would like to start with a case study here. Okay, they did this happened in the Yale University. They took a group of two aged people, okay, old people, and they divided them into group A and group B. Now, group A was more of positive kind of group. They had positive attitude towards life. They think, okay, I would like to learn something new every day, or looking forward to my life. I want to enjoy my life. Group B was more of negative attitude people, where they said, okay, my life is already gone and nothing there to live. I'm just surviving, or I will eventually die. And you would then this thing was tracked for almost 8 years, and you would not realize that group A lived 7.6 years longer than group B, which is quite a nice difference. And that difference doesn't come with exercising more or eating healthy. That the average life of group A was 7.6 years longer. Okay, that comes with the intention and your attitude towards life. Now, what do we understand by identity? Okay, so like I've drawn this circle also. Most of us focus on the outer layer in our day-to-day competitive environment. We talk about results, we talk about actionable items, we talk about uh, achieving targets. Okay, even in office you have goals to achieve. Okay, so most of the us focus only on the results, and we strive to achieve them. And we sometimes get tense, sometimes we do not achieve them, we get frustrated, and sometimes happy, sometimes not so happy. But most of the people in the world stop on the first layer itself. Very few people actually think how to achieve those results, and they take these desirable actions. Let's say only 15 to 20% of the people actually focus on the actions. What actions should they actually take so that they can get the best possible results? Okay, even then, uh, there is a small percentage, let's say around 2 to 3% of the entire population, which actually look core and deep within, that is called the identity, or they change their belief system itself or their mindset. When you actually change your mindset, that's when the actual thing happens. That's when it becomes your habit itself. The winning becomes your habit. Okay? And like the punchline says, when a shift in mindset leads to a shift in daily choices, and shift in daily choices leads to significantly better results, right? I have given the example of losing weight. So losing weight, a lot of people, when they focus on losing weight, they only talk about, or they think about the results. Okay, I have to lose, let's say, 20 kgs. Okay, but they do not take any actions, or even if they take actions, their actions are not derived from deep inside. Once they make it as a success, or once they make it as a habit, that's when they actually see the long lasting results. In fact, I would like to give my example. I've been trying this thing for almost last 1 month. Okay, now this is one of the techniques which I use. I've taken this planner, and whatever, and this is the thing which I use for exercise. Okay, so I put a cross on the date on the day I exercise, right? And this is my actual planner. So this is not a fake one. This is the realistic planner which I'm using. And these many days I've actually exercised. So it's been almost 1 month. I have not missed a single day. And the interesting part is, in the last 30 days, I've exercised for 45 hours. And when I actually did this as constant 1% improvement on day to day basis. I never could do it earlier, but when I kept record on day to day basis, and I decided that I'll do that 1% improvement, and the results were quite interesting. In the last 1 month itself, I am much healthier, feeling better, and I've lost almost 4 kgs, and I'm very active right now. And I make sure that I exercise for at least 1.5 hours every day. Great. So we'll move forward. Thank you very much, all of you. All right. So we move to the next topic, which is the 3 R's of habit formation. Now you need to look at this very closely. Process of forming habit is important, and when we do not actually realize that this is the process, sometimes we develop a lot of habits which uh, automatically, which we didn't even realize. Okay. So the 3 R's of habit formation are the reminder, routine, and the reward. Every habit has these three behaviors. Reminder would say there is a trigger which which would say that you would need to start that habit. I've mentioned it as an example, that the phone rings, and then your actual habit would be there, that it would be accompanied with an action. So you would naturally pick it up and check it, who is there on the phone, and then in the form of reward, that you would like to switch it on, and would like to speak to that person, or would like, even if it's an unknown number, you would like to find it out who is on the other side. That would be a reward. Now it even if you see in the image, your trigger can be you are tired, and then that would lead to your behavior, which is going for a cup of coffee, and the reward would be that you will be fresh and awake, right? So and this goes in loop, goes on and on and on. So it becomes, when you do it for a few days, and you are happy and satisfied with the rewards, your subconscious mind takes care of it, and then it becomes a habit for you. Now there are certain positive habits, and there are certain negative habits as well. Now, how to get rid of negative habits and start positive habits? There are a few things which I have mentioned here. That is, you need to leverage the trigger which we've talked in the initial slide, which is the reminder. So you need to attach your new habit to the trigger of your old habit itself. For example, when I'll give you my example. When I go in the morning to brush my teeth, that's a trigger for me. Okay, what I've done is, whenever I brush my teeth, I had reminded myself multiple times that I'll read out loud the affirmations which are there on the mirror of my bathroom. Okay, so I have attached my positive habit of reading affirmations with a routine habit which anyway I do. Okay, and when I keep repeating it on daily basis, eventually reading affirmations also would become a positive habit for me. Then the next point would be the 2 minutes rule. Now what this says is, there are certain habits which are difficult to start or difficult to continue and make it as a habit, certain good things in life. But what the author of this book says, that they are it only takes 2 minutes to start a particular habit, and once you start it, the motivation comes after that, right? So initially, let's say you are back from the office, you're very tired, and you would need to go for let's say exercise, and you are not motivated enough. You said, okay, let me actually take some nap. But what you would need to train your mind is just the 2 minute behavior, and then you will get the motivation. For example, uh, you don't feel like going for a jog, then what you would need to do is just follow the first 2 minutes of that process, which is getting ready, tying your shoes, and going out of the door and shutting it up. And then the motivation would come automatically. So if you focus only on going out of the door and locking it, that's good enough. The rest of the things would take care of it. In fact, how come I was able to continue with these exercises day on day for last 1 month? This was one of the rules. I followed it. Even I didn't feel like going for an exercise or a jog or a walk, and it used to be most of the times 10 o'clock at night also. Then also I said, let me wear my shoes, and let me at least go and stand outside my house. And then I convinced myself, okay, let me go and take at least one round of my colony. and then that one round converted into 5 rounds automatically. And how I uh, continued with those 8 to 10 kilometers on daily basis, that's a different thing. That's when the motivation kicks in, right? So the other point is, make it so easy that you can't say no. Now the 2 minute rule is also that you need to focus only on the easy part. So focus only on the easy part of the good habit which you want to form, and then the motivation would continue and the habit would also eventually be there. Now I'm motivated. Motivation is a short term for me now. Now I have an identity of a person who exercises daily. That's my identity now. I'm the person who doesn't miss any exercise on any day. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so our next topic is the pre-commitment. Okay, all right. So again, we had this case study example here. There was a vaccination drive in one of the organizations. Okay, and what had done this is they had sent this letter or email to the employees that you need to get vaccinated. Choose your date and time, right? And then uh, there was not much turn up on that, so they sent a one another letter, which is another email of with version 2, that your appointment has been scheduled for April 22nd, and you can click on the link to choose the time. And interesting part is that your version 2 email had 2.4 times more conversion, right? Just because the pre-commitment of date was there, more people turned up, right? Then they thought of sending another email with a version 3, which says that there was nothing to choose. They said that you have been scheduled at 1 p.m. on April 22nd. Okay. Now, interestingly, this particular version gave 4 times conversion than the first one, right? So, which also implies that when you give choices and options to people, they tend to be more lethargic. The interesting part is when you give them the accurate date and accurate time, and we being more of lethargic people, we also feel more lazy to actually go to that link and change the time. So it's sometimes easier for us to actually go there on the desired date and time, and hence more conversions. Okay, so in fact, for the people who have their own businesses or have their own shops and stores, it's a very good eye opener that the more options and the choices you give to your customers, it would be difficult for them to choose. The best thing is to give them a very few choices which help them making decision faster, right? So giving less options for better commitment from the people. All right, so we'll move on. That is implementation intention. Okay, that's one of my favorite points. Interesting case study was there. This case study was about they collected certain people divided into 3 groups, and the study was to how often do they exercise and how regular can they exercise. So group A was given these instructions that okay, you would need to track on daily basis whatever exercises you're doing, and then report it after a month. Okay, and group B was given this same agenda, plus they were also shown a motivational video. All right, so that they can exercise better and they can give better results. And then there was a group C. Then they what they did is what they did with the group B, and they also made them write a sentence: during next week I will do at least 20 minutes of vigorous exercise on daily basis. Okay, on, and you have to sign date and place. And so what do you think would be the results? Which group do you think was more effective in exercises?
The group C.
It's group C.
Group C. Okay, so this group C was quite obvious, but which was the second most effective?
Group B.
Group B. All right.
Yes.
So even I thought that, but the actual results were quite shocking. Here are the results of the case study. So group A was better than group B. So the motivation, whatever they had gone through the video and the talk, the peppy talk, that had faded away, and they performed the worst. And the group C, which actually wrote the intention, performed almost 90% of the people continued with the exercises till the 30th day, and this was almost three times higher than the first group. Isn't it amazing? So we when we talk about writing intentions, going for affirmations, those are actually very effective. The time you write it on a piece of paper, you are self committed to yourself, the task and the goal, you are become more effective and you are more likely to complete them. Do you guys agree with me? Great.
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
yes.
And Q. Then we come to the keystone habits. Now, this is quite interesting. What do you think are the keystone habits? Anybody who has heard of this particular word? No? Now, keystone habits, like it says, are one of very few habits which actually play an important role in your life. Okay. Now, how to, Bina says personality habits. Yes, Bina, this is right, but it may be other habits as well. So these are certain good habits which will have the ripple effect on the other aspects of your life also. Okay. So keystone habit, as it says, it's a ritual or a habit that ripples into rest of your life. Example, let's say workout. Okay, and these habits have positive side effects also. Okay, so when we talk about a habit of doing workout on daily basis, what uh, what are the side effects of this habit? Anybody who can answer, unmute yourself.
Very active and energetic.
You feel energetic? Yes. Juhi?
I think the ripple effect also would be that you start eating healthy as a matter of fact, knowing that you're exercising. So the next thing you would do is probably start eating better.
Absolutely. So this particular habit is a keystone habit where you would not have to form a separate habit of eating healthier, or you would not have you not do not have to build a separate habit of being more energetic. This would have ripple effect in all your most of the aspects of your life. Like you'll eat better, you'll sleep better, your weight management would be better, your energetic, you will be more energetic, you'll be more happy, and you would also get better ideas. Okay, so you take care of one habit and it takes care of a lot of other habits which are attached to it, right? So we need to think of certain keystone habits in our life and uh, make them actually habits what we can do, or a ritual which we can do on daily basis. Another keystone habit can be meditation. Okay, so when you meditate on morning, in the morning time, you get more relaxed, you feel more energetic, you come up with amazing ideas, your thought process improves, your overall physical and mental health well-being improves. So that's also one of the keystone habits. So what small homework here is, uh, all of you would need to explore your own life and come up with keystone habits in your life, right? Like I have started workout as my keystone habit, which is affecting me in terms of weight management, which is affecting me in terms of energy. I feel more energetic, I feel more confident, I feel I spend a lot of time with my family as well. Me and my wife go for jogging together, so that's another a better thing to for if a family bonding. My son also goes with me, so that's actually taking care of so many other things also, right? So if I just take care of this particular habit of workout, there's so many things which I can take care of. Okay, now we come to the topic of environment design. Okay, now as a normal process, as humans we are quite lazy. Okay, we tend to not do work unless something is poked, and then we in fact we, most of us, I would not say all of us, but most of us have a laid back attitude. At least I have that. Okay. Now here I would like to give some a study again, which was done. It was a popcorn study where the doctor said that he was very fond of eating popcorns. So what he did is he went. No, he used to live on the first floor. He went downstairs. He opened his garage, and he kept the popcorn dabba in the garage and locked it, and then came back home. Now, whenever he had that craving of popcorn, he could easily go in 2 minutes and get that popcorn. But because of that lazy attitude, he would not go there. And months had passed, he did not have popcorn, even he wanted to. Okay. Similarly, this is an environment he's created. He just, what he did is he kept popcorn. It's at such a distance that it becomes doesn't become that easily available. Okay. Now this is to avoid certain bad habits. Now you can also include certain good habits. For example, you should have a set of books always near your bed. In fact, in your on your work table, on your bed, on your in your living room, you'll have, if you have those 2 3 books lying there, when you're not doing anything and you just spot that book, you tend to pick them up and read. So that's how you can create that good habit. Okay. Similarly, you can explore your own life and come up with those habits you would like to avoid, or those habits you would like to incorporate. Similarly, cigarette is also one of the habits. So instead of buying the whole box or whole carton of cigarettes, you can simply buy one cigarette. Now, when you have the craving, you know you would need to go downstairs to a shop and then to buy it. So most of the times you will actually don't feel like going there, and your consumption would be much lesser. Okay. Now, as the punchline says, do not find the environment, design it yourself. Okay. Design the environment as per how you want it. So we come to the end of the session here. Now we are open to question and answers. So anybody who has any kind of questions can unmute yourself on right in the chat box.
Sir, I have, they say that for 21 days you do anything, it becomes a habit. Is it true?
Yes, it is true. Dr. Anila would like to take this up.
Yes, in fact, it is true. It takes a minimum of 21 days. It can take up to a month. But again, this is not a hard and fast rule. It also depends on how receptive you are to change. But this has been mentioned in a beautiful book called Psycho-Cybernetics. And that is how we are designed, that if we do something on a repetitive basis for 21 days minimum, that it does become a habit for us. And so, yes, it is true.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Anila. In fact, there was another study which was done by Dr. Deepak Chopra. What he says that 21 days is a temporary habit formation. Okay, so if you do something for 21 days and then you do not do it for, let's say, 2 years or 3 years, you tend to forget. Your mind tends to forget it. But in case if you repeat something for 42 days, then it remains there with you for lifetime. All right. So, any more questions?
Shaz, I don't have a question, but I have an interesting example to give for the very last point. May I, with your permission?
Sure, Anila. Please go ahead.
All right. So the last point that Shaz mentioned was environment design. And I thought I'll just, mention two of my own, yeah, thank you, two of my own experiences with this. Now, I have a son who's now, of course, a teenager. But I do remember that when he was very young, and I think this is the case for most homes where there are young children, we just generally like to eat junk food, isn't it? Cookies and chips and all sorts of nonsense. I just definitely did not ever buy any junk food and keep it in the house. So much so that he'd come home and he would, it was just not available. So he'd be eating carrots and fruits and all those other healthy things. So that is something that was something I did to design the environment around him. There came a point when he used to ask me, may I have an unhealthy snack, please? So even at that young age, he was aware that snacking and healthy snacking is a good thing. The second example, quite recent in fact, uh, our TV broke down. And for a little while, we were very upset because we like watching television before that. But then we all decided, and anyways, my son was going for his exam. So we decided, why don't we just wrap it up and put it away in the storeroom and see what happens? And so we did. And in the place where that TV used to be, we bought a very nice shelf, which had many shelves where we could put our books. So we put a shelf in the place where the TV used to be. And as a result of that, we all three of us started reading a lot more, even though some of those books had already been read. And we just started talking to each other a lot more. We spent a lot of time just interacting. And we've come to the point where we don't really care if there's no television in the house. So I just thought that would be just something interesting to share, that these little things to design our environment really play a huge role for us, in changing our lifestyle and choices and doing things differently. Just thought I'd
That's
share.
that's really interesting, Dr. Nila.
Yeah.
That's a good job packing the television itself. In fact, I remember one example from my own life, especially when I was actually got married, and we started putting on weight after that. And so whenever I used to go to my in-laws' place, they used to hand me over a couple of dabbas of sweets, and whosoever came to visit us, they used to carry one dabba of sweets, and then we had the obligation of finishing it up as well. So we and Farzana, we made that commitment, and we informed all our relatives, my in-laws as well. So if you want to give something, please give, but instead of sweets, please replace them with fruits. And they actually did. And soon we had so much of stock of fruits, and we kept eating the entire day, and we kept getting healthier and better. Great. So anybody who has examples to share, please, you can
Yeah,
unmute
I have
yourself.
something to share.
Hmm.
Uh, I used to see the television and I saw this breaking news.
Okay.
And one day I remember there was something that happened. So I put it on to hear the breaking news. And for 15 minutes, it was breaking news. The same thing was going on, being repeated. That at the end of it, it really hit me. What the hell did I do for 1 hour? Just seeing the same thing again and again and again. And it broke my peace. So, and then the next day, the newspaper, I'm a Times of India reader, gave another view. And that was the day I said the TV today, with the, houses taking on TV channels, it's really spoiling at least my thought, my brain in the breaking news. And that day I stopped, and I really have peace of mind. Thank you for allowing me
That's a
to
great
share.
example, Sushma. In fact, my personally, I have not listened to the news or gone through the newspaper for last 12 years now. And the interesting part is I haven't missed much. If there is something really important, my loved ones do tell me. And my dad sometimes asks me a question, "Arey, tumhe itna bhi nahi pata?" But later I realize, okay, but anyway, I'm getting that information. But agar pata bhi hota, I would not have done anything anyways. So I have not missed much listen by not listening to the news or reading the newspaper, but I've gained a lot. I gained a lot of positivity. There was so much of negativity in the newspaper, and that's completely gone. So that's not even there in our house anymore for so many years. I'm aware Anila also has done the same for quite many years now.
15
Being
years.
a faculty, I have to know what's happening,
Hmm.
because being an MBA faculty, so I have to. I've learned to skip in the newspaper, but the news on the TV stopped.
That's interesting. That's interesting. In fact, when I was young, I remember my father used to always tell me to start with the center fold. That is the editorial section. So he says that's the cream of the newspaper. Only go through that. You'll find the best possible literature there, the best
Yeah.
possible words there, and
True, true.
that's good enough for you to learn. Okay, so in fact, for some people who are not aware, Mr. Kamroti is my dad. He's also in the session now. Okay, so that has changed my life. That had given me so much of learning from the editorial section.
Mr. Saj, how do you keep updated yourself with the current news, important news?
Uh, my loved ones do tell me, like for example, when I was in Chennai and there was a tsunami near my house. I was almost 4 kilometers away from my from the seashore. So I received call from my loved ones and they asked me to wake up. What are you doing sleeping? Wake up, get out of the house. So I'm sure that even TV channel and news would not have given me that information because I was sleeping that
Mhm.
time. So whenever the important news is there, yes, I there are so many channels now. There's WhatsApp, there's Google News, and glance informations. There's so many things where you do get to know about the information on and off. Uh, but most of again 99% of the information is irrelevant, and you
Yes.
can catch that 1%. Like if you see the situation scenarios for last 2 years, it's all corona related news, and you anyway know about it. It's all about numbers update. You don't. How does it make a difference?
Yeah, I would like to second that. Actually, I stopped watching news. I've been a very avid newspaper reader for several years. I mean, since my childhood, and
Hmm.
my father used to diligently listen to the radio news in Akashvani and All India Radio. And when the news was coming on the radio, when we were kids, we were not allowed to speak anything. We were supposed to keep quiet because he would be paying so much attention to the news. But those days, and my father used to insist that we should also listen to the news and read the newspaper, if for nothing else, to improve your language. He used to say that the best language, the best grammar, the best vocabulary is in the newspapers and in the radio news. But unfortunately, the last few years, we have seen a decay of that. If you watch the television news, your language will go from bad to worse. If you read the newspapers today, also, except for some editorials and some articles, most of the news reportage has very poor language. In fact, they say something for else for something. In fact, Hindi newspapers are even worse. We used to have both Hindi and English newspapers in my house. The Hindi newspaper, the Hindi is a mix of English and Hindi and whatnot, and such poor grammar. I don't know what kind of people are writing and editing it. So it's not good for learning the language. As far as news is concerned, it's the TV news is not news, it's just views. You only have people screaming and shouting and arguing and debating, and every channel seems to have an agenda because it is controlled by a business house which has a political agenda or a political affiliation, and they just tom their ideology and their theory. Frankly, after I stopped watching the television news, I don't think I've missed anything. As Shaz rightly mentioned, whatever is important, we come to know anyway. There's social media, there is, Google alerts, there are all kinds of things. You get to know the facts anyway, which are relevant. If I don't watch a COVID statistics for 1 month, also, I don't think it's going to change my life in any way. Yeah, of course, I need to know when there's a lockdown in my city, what are the restrictions, those kind of things. And that one comes to know in any case. There are hundreds of ways of finding it and getting to know. But I think by not keeping in touch with the news, frankly, it is not depriving me of anything. It is not the news, the way it is presented today, either in the newspaper or in the television, is not contributing anything to my life. It's only taking away my time and affecting my mental peace, actually, because uh, it's actually disturbs when you see those rhetorical videos and all kinds of arguments. So I think I am very strongly in favor of, and I recommend to everybody that if you want to improve your language, if you want to learn anything about current affairs, news is the last place you should go to, especially television news. And the newspaper news is not very different, frankly. I mean, it may be slightly better. That's it. So my apologies to anybody who's from the media industry here. I mean, this is a very strong view that I hold against the content they present, but that's the reality in my view.
Agreed. In fact, I would like to share this one. One day I was going through those old newses of the Doordarshan, which I used to watch, let's say around 30 years back, and the quality of news that time and the speakers, the English. And actually, I learned a lot that time repeating those English statements and going through the BBC News. So that also improved my English a lot. But when you compare that news reading with the news right now, I don't think it stands anywhere. I agree with you.
Frankly, I think by not watching the news for an hour a day, I'm saving that 1 hour which I can spend on my health, my mental wellness, by increasing my knowledge, by developing some other skill, or just spending some good time with my own family. I think I'd much rather do that than watch the news. I use the television only to watch sports. That's the only thing I use my television for in my house, because I'm fond of watching sports. If there's a good cricket match, hockey match, Olympic event or something going on, or Wimbledon tennis tournament or something like that, then I do switch on the TV. Other than that, I don't use the TV for anything at all.
Great, thanks
But
for sharing.
social media, social media is also very time consuming. When you see WhatsApp, you have a habit of going through.
So there, at least you have a choice. You have a choice. You can decide what to watch, what not. If you are going to use the forwarded videos to enhance your knowledge, then, or the forwarded messages to enhance your knowledge, then that's absolutely the wrong thing to do, right? When I say social media, I don't mean WhatsApp forwards, or I don't mean YouTube videos. I mean,
Okay.
there are other ways in social media. You can watch it on Twitter. You can watch it on, other platforms. There are many ways of doing it.
Hi, Anila. I would like to get back to the topic of what we were discussing. Could you please share the name of the book in the chat that you were talking about, that 21-day habit formation?
Yes, most definitely. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. A brilliant book written by
Psycho-Cybernetics.
Dr. Maxwell Maltz.
Okay.
He was a plastic surgeon, and it is a brilliantly written book, especially regarding self-image. So I would highly recommend it to anybody. Very readable book and wonderfully done. So do please pick it up. It's an amazing book.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. So, anybody would like to share something else, or has a question? Okay, great. So we come to an end of the session. Thank you very much for being there and being a
Thank
part
you.
of the session.
Thank
Okay,
you.
hope you have a nice
Thank
day.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Shaz. It
Shaz.
was an
Thank
Thank you,
amazing
Shaz.
session.
Thank you, Shaz.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for you for this initiative of yours. Every Wednesday evening, there's something exciting to look forward to, and making it such a wonderful, putting in that effort that goes into making this happen every week. Really appreciate you for that. Thank
Thanks
you
a
very
lot.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Louis.
Thanks, Anila. Thanks, Shaz.
Thank you,
Thank
Juhi.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sujata.